The fire had burned down to a halo of embers, faint sparks drifting into the ink-black forest beyond. I was alone at my campsite in the Cascades, wrapped in the quiet hum of crickets and distant owls. The air had that crisp edge that comes just before midnight, the kind that sharpens every sound. That's when I heard it, a crack of branches, heavy footsteps far too deliberate to be deer. My first thought was bear, and my hand went instinctively toward the flare gun near my pack. But then I saw him. He emerged slowly from between the pines, swaying slightly as though each step cost him tremendous effort. At first my brain rejected the sight, nearly 8 feet tall. Shoulders as broad as a door frame, matted hair glistening in the moonlight. His right leg dragged, leaving a dark smear on the forest floor, and his breathing was ragged, each exhale a low rumble that seemed to vibrate in my chest. But what truly froze me wasn't his size or the shock of realizing he was real. It was what he carried in his enormous hands, a small limp creature wrapped in leaves. It took me a moment to recognize it, a young fawn, no more than a few weeks old. Its tiny chest barely rose and fell, each breath shallow. The Bigfoot looked down at it with an expression I had no right to understand, yet somehow did. His deep-set eyes, shadowed beneath a heavy brow, held something unmistakable. Sorrow and urgency woven together. He stepped toward the firelight, and I saw the source of his own injury, a jagged gash along his thigh, fresh and raw, as if from a trap or a bullet. I should have been terrified. Everything I'd been told about encounters with such creatures screamed at me to back away. But fear was eclipsed by something else, the undeniable presence of compassion in his every movement. He knelt clumsily beside the fire, placing the fawn on my blanket, his massive fingers trembling as they released it. The warmth of the flames illuminated his face, fur matted with dirt and blood, and for a fleeting second, the mystery of his existence felt almost secondary to the urgency of the moment. I rummaged through my gear, pulling out a small canteen of water and the emergency medical kit. My hands shook not from fear, but from the gravity of what was unfolding before me, two beings from entirely different worlds, meeting in the center of a wild night to save a fragile, dying thing. I dribbled water onto the fawn's lips. Its eyes fluttered, barely responding. The Bigfoot watched intently, leaning closer with a low, almost humming sound, rhythmic and gentle, like a lullaby too ancient for me to know. I realized then it was comforting the animal. As I worked, I noticed him shivering, whether from pain, blood loss, or the chill, I couldn't tell. Without thinking, I gestured toward the fire. Somehow, he understood, shifting closer, and the heat rose between us like a bridge spanning an impossible gulf. Up close, I could see flecks of mud and pine needles tangled in his fur, and a faint scent of earth and rain. His wound looked bad, but he didn't seem to care. All his focus remained on the fawn. Minutes passed like hours. I wrapped the fawn snug in my spare shirt, massaging its tiny legs, trying to coax circulation back. The Bigfoot lifted his gaze to mine, and something passed between us. Not language, but a shared truth. We were both temporary guardians of something small and sacred. I thought about human hunters I'd seen earlier that week, rifles slung over their shoulders, brash in their power. And here was a creature of legend, fighting past his own injury to carry this helpless life to safety. Finally, the fawn stirred. A stronger breath, a twitch of its head. Relief flooded me, and for the first time I heard a sound from the Bigfoot that was undeniably joy, a low, resonant note that seemed to vibrate in the marrow of my bones. Something between a sigh and a song. He reached out, the backs of his knuckles brushing the fawn in the gentlest of touches. Then, as if satisfied it would live, he rose slowly. His leg trembled under his weight, but he ignored my outstretched hand. He did something unexpected before leaving. From a pouch slung across his chest, a simple thing woven from vines and bark, he drew a small object and placed it beside the fire. In the glow, I saw it was a carved figure. Two creatures, one large, one small, standing beneath a tree. The carving was crude, but there was intention in every groove. I looked back at him, but he only inclined his head in a slow nod, as though sealing a silent pact. With that, he lifted the fawn in his arms again and turned toward the forest. I watched him vanish into the dark, not with the stealth of a predator, but the careful tread of a guardian returning home. The night seemed quieter after he left, though the echo of his presence lingered in the air like an unspoken blessing. Long after, as I sat staring at the little carving, I thought about the boundaries we draw between species, beliefs, and what we allow ourselves to think is possible. We tell ourselves stories about monsters, about things that dwell in the shadows. But maybe the shadows aren't full of monsters at all. Maybe they're full of guardians, unseen but always watching, stepping into the light only when the fragility of life demands it. In the days that followed, I kept the carving close. I'd hike the trails and find myself scanning for movement beyond the trees, half hoping, half knowing I'd never see him again. Yet I like to think he's still out there, tending to the hidden lives of the forest, carrying the wounded when they cannot walk, and reminding those of us who cross his path that compassion is the truest kind of strength. And when I recall that night, I don't remember danger or disbelief. I remember being humbled by the firelight, by the silence we shared, by the sight of a legendary creature, wounded but undeterred, cradling something far more fragile than himself, and teaching me, without a single word, what it really means to protect what matters.